Hello guys, welcome. Oh, let me fix this. Happy Thursday, hope you're doing well. Welcome to episode number 12 of Chai with Rai. I hope you're doing well. I hope your Thursday is going great. I want to give a personal thank you to every single guest that has joined me thus far, as well as every single person. Hi Preeti, how are you? Every single person that has commented and shared so much. This started out as a passion project of mine, and then it basically has just taken off. Preeti, you can't join me. There's another guest today. But yeah, this is on episode 12, and I'm very excited. This is going to be the last episode for this season. And I'm going to continue on in the next year. And plus it's holiday, so I just want to take a little bit of break, give you guys a break. But I am also going to be loading all of these episodes up. Other than my IGTV, they're also going to be on Spotify. So I'm going to put them on Spotify, and then next year we're going to get on it, if that makes sense. But yeah, hope your Thursday is going well. I'm really excited about today's guest. Today's guest is Gairik. Gairik is a dancer and teacher based in India. He teaches and specializes in dancehall, but he has an amazing background in other stuff, and we'll get onto that. He has a background in house and hip hop and so many other styles, and we're going to talk about that, his training, and so much more. He's a faculty member of the Big Dance Center in India, and we met when Gairik came here to London to do a scholarship program with Danceworks, and we met through my friend's Jess Baddy's class in dancehall, and we connected through that, and we're going to get onto all of that. Gairik, you've sent me your request. I'm going to accept it now. Let's see if this works, and hopefully all's going well. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Can you see and hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear and see you clearly. How are you? What time is it? Be honest.
It's 12:30 a.m. in India right now.
Firstly, thank you so much for joining. I cannot.
Don't worry. I'm really happy to be doing this.
You've got friends already. They say, "Hello, sir. How are you?"
Yeah. Hi, Kashish. Hi. That's my girlfriend's joined, and some of my students are here as well. Look at me.
You are too kind. How has your day been? I know we were going back and forth, and you've been like super busy. I'm just gonna pin this, and I'm just gonna talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
I just finished a shoot at like 11. I came back home at like 11:30. So like just about an hour ago, I just finished shooting for the day. So yeah, it's been like a hectic few weeks, but I'm really excited to be going home. Like I'm going back to my home, like to meet my family on the 21st, like I told you. So I'm happy to be taking a couple of weeks off from work, and yeah. But other than that, it's been good. Like I mean, it's been busy. It's been a lot of hectic stuff and constant working with like the video shooting and the editing, and also having to take class and still keep up with training for myself and all of that. So, but otherwise, quite happy with to be doing so much in general.
Wait, so where are you in India right now?
Right now, I'm in Delhi.
You're in Delhi, and you live in Calcutta?
Yes, I live in Kolkata, Calcutta, however you prefer to say it.
I mean, how do you say it? Do you say Calcutta or do you say
so when the British were here, it was Calcutta.
Yeah.
But post them leaving, and if you've noticed, like a lot of the major cities had like their names changed.
To make them easier to be able to pronounce.
Yeah, and also for some like other reasons, like Bombay became Mumbai, and similarly, so Calcutta became Kolkata, and so it's all the same, to be honest. Like fairly makes it.
It is. Wait, so what were you shooting today? Somebody's asking. Is it a new video? What is it?
Okay, so there is a new video that's happening, but I was filming it. I'm not in the video. I was filming it and doing all the light setups and everything in the studio. It's a video by one of the other faculty members. We kind of did like a special project for him. So we were shooting that. So it came out quite nice. It's like a a theme-based video, but obviously I don't want to give it away because it's not my video, so I can't really talk about it much. But it was a nice video to shoot. Like we did, I'll say it's got an element of like drama behind it in terms of like the theme portrayal of what the dancer is trying to say.
Is there a Star situation where Tulsi comes out and it's like, "You kiss us, big,
not quite as dramatic, but just more like intense in general.
Intense. Okay. We met in London when you were doing the IDVP program, and
right.
We met during Jessa's class, and I was just messaging Jessa, I'm wanting to meet her. But one thing I really want to ask you is, like, do you miss London? And two, what is
really do.
You really do. I can't wait for you to back. Hopefully you come back soon. And the
Sorry, I interrupted you. What was the second part of your question?
No. Oh my God, not at all. I want to ask you, what is the biggest difference for you? Because you travel as well. What is the biggest difference for you, between London and India, let's say?
Are you asking like in terms of dance or like city in general?
Everything. Let's do three things. What is the biggest three differences between? I have never ever been to India, and I've been. Oh my God, I so badly want to come to India.
Please do. You have a home, and you're welcome to come.
Likewise, you have a place here as well. Anytime you want to come.
I think three biggest. Okay, I'll answer the first. I definitely really miss London because
you said that straight away. You were like, I miss London.
I really do. I really do. Because I think in terms of like the experience that I had for those 3 months was a really wonderful time. Like it's my happiest time of training. I think I've done like a lot of training very intensely throughout like my dancing training phase in my life. But those three months in London were like really special, not just because of the kind of training that I got, but also I met so many different people, you know, from so many different countries, and I had such a wonderful exchange of like not just cultures, but like love in different ways of like acceptance between people of different cultures. And it was just because of that one thing that brought everyone together. And, you know, I got so much appreciation for what I do. And I got to see so many amazing people move in such different ways and in ways that like inspired me to this day. And I still remember so many of the dancers that I met there. And I'm still in good contact with so many of them, like you being one of them. And so like I really miss that aspect of like the friends that I made and like that connection that I had with there. Obviously I have really good friends here, and obviously I have my family as well. But obviously when you go to a different country and you experience a whole new lifestyle, I definitely really do miss it. But yeah, hopefully I will be back soon next year, maybe sometime soon. Hopefully I can be back. But I think three biggest differences between London for me, between London and India. Number one, obviously, is like the dance culture as a whole.
Yeah.
Because obviously London has a huge variety in like the kinds of dancers that are there, as well as the styles that they do. But like the dance community as a whole. Sorry?
I think in terms of diversity, yes, but I feel like when I watch your videos or when I see the big dance center, or when I see the amount of talent and the amount of styles that India now has, I think is nothing comparable to London though. That's what I see digitally though.
Well, I guess, this is one of those situations which is like, you know, the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So, I'm here and I see everything for what it is, and you are there and you see everything there for what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is just one of those situations. It's not like there is not talent here, and in no way am I saying that. Like, there's a huge amount of talent in this country, and obviously there's a huge diversity of dance styles, and especially considering also including like the Indian classical styles, there's like a vast myriad of things that people can do here. But in general, the thing that I want to focus on is maybe probably a cultural aspect of difference in dance. In India, you either start learning a classical form as a child and you continue to be a professional in that. But even if you are a professional dancer, even if you are a classical professional dancer,
Yeah.
You are still expected to be doing something else apart from that. Like that's one of the things probably in India is like, even if you are one of my friends, Damini, has just joined. She's a classical dancer herself. So yeah, she dances
Damini, she Kathak, so
yeah, she's a wonderful Kathak dancer. So like for her also, like I say, pretty much every other like classical dancer in the country, even if you want to do it as a profession, you're still expected while you're growing up, to do your education and to do everything else, while you're at it. But that's not necessarily the case in London. Like if you are a ballerina, you can just focus on doing your ballet training or doing your dance training and work as a dancer or those kind of things. And that's a huge cultural difference here, is that, because of like the Indian traditional parents' mindset is that, you have to have a job that pays well, and it's very difficult to convince them that, dance is also one of those things that can give you that, not just happiness, but it can also be a financial security for you and can also be something that you earn through. And it's not just like a hobby. I think that's one huge cultural difference that I felt between London and here.
Yeah.
The other thing, the thing that hit me the most was obviously just probably infrastructure-wise. The two countries are massively different. I think that's just a given obvious because of the countries.
I get it.
Yeah. That was like a big thing for me, but in many ways I could still connect like to London in like, let's say like the tube.
Yeah.
Like for people from many other countries, they wouldn't be very used to the concept of a tube and stuff because underground railway isn't very common in most countries in the world. But India is one of those countries where the Britishers did have an underground railway system, especially like in Kolkata. It was the first one in India, right? So I've grown up knowing that system and understand like that was very easy for me to adapt when I went there, and I was like, this is very normal.
Got it.
Right. But other infrastructure-wise was like very different for me. Like, let's say, especially in terms of timing, everything in London usually runs on time. You have a very robust. Compared to Indian Standard Time, everything usually runs on time.
Yeah. Usually.
Okay. Like, I'm not going to say like the UK is like Germany or Japan in terms of like time. But it's definitely way better than in India. Like,
I feel you.
But that's definitely there.
I abide my ethnic timing, so I will be late for certain things. I will try and be on time, but I always say I'm ethnic and I will be on ethnic timing there. If you want me to show up on time, you need to tell me like come 2 hours.
Yeah, half an hour before you got to inform.
Exactly. That's why I messaged you. I was like, I'll let you know 5 minutes before that we're about to go on, an hour before, and just everything, just in case, because I need that for myself as well.
Right. And I think in terms, this is really hard to like pick the third thing.
No, you picked infrastructure, you picked time. And what else?
I picked the dance, like the cultural aspect of dance, the infrastructure as a whole.
Yeah.
And maybe I think, definitely the thing that was very different for me in London than in India was the number of people that the different kinds of people I was meeting. Not the number, but the different kinds of people. Like London is much more multicultural than India is in general.
Got it.
Obviously, India is a huge country. So let's say in that aspect, I do meet, like in Delhi itself, I meet a lot of people from various different states.
Yeah.
And they all have their, their own different ways of life, and everyone comes from a slightly different cultural background.
Got it.
But obviously in London, I meet people from so many different continents at the same point of time, right?
Yeah.
And that was a very interesting aspect for me. And that I think was one of those things that I felt quite at home with, because growing up, I've had people from a lot of different European countries come and stay with us in my house. Yeah. We used to have this like a cultural exchange program with Calcutta University and different universities around Europe. And so every year they would send a student over, and they used to actually stay at my house. So I kind of grew up every year having known someone from a different country, and so that experience that I had growing up in childhood, that was just like multifolded and like enhanced when I was in London. I was just meeting more people from different places. Whoops, sorry about that.
Did you fall or did the camera fall?
No, that was definitely the camera. Sorry about that.
Damn. No, it's fine. We're gonna get into like your dance background, talking about the dance culture and scene and everything like that. But I want to take you back to two things. What is your earliest, and this is like get to know Gairik and like Gairik to show, share your story and stuff like that. So we're going to dive into lots of things and talk about lots of things. And we're going to crisscross. But I want to ask you, what is your earliest moment of dancing? And what's your earliest memory of dance itself? So for me, it will be like watching, I don't know, Sholay or something and seeing Amitabh Bachchan or like, I don't know, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham and things like that. That's my earliest memory of dance. But like dancing is completely different. So I want to ask you, what is your earliest moment of recognizing that is dance? And then what's your earliest memory of dancing yourself?
For me, those two memories are the same.
Oh, really?
Actually. Yeah, because I think this was when I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact age. I was very young. So I was like probably 4 or 5. And I was dancing to Macarena with my grandfather in our living room. And that's still a memory that's like very strongly ingrained, because I used to love dancing to that song. And I used to do it like a lot with my grandfather, and he used to really entertain me.
Karina.
He used to be like a very strict parent to like my mother. But growing up, he was an amazing granddad to me. So like my first ever memory of dancing and of dance and of even music, actually all of those things, my first ever memory of music, my first ever memory of dance and of dancing, all three things happened when I was dancing Macarena with him. Yeah. He used to have, I mean, we still actually have it in the house, like an old LP record player.
Oh, nice.
So yes. And he has like a huge collection of like really rare LPs, like from like a couple of very rare Beatles collections, a limited edition Michael Jackson album he has. He has one really old Rolling Stones, I think, I can't remember which album it was. He has a Pink Floyd, I think.
The classics, like the 80s,
Yeah. He absolutely loves I mean, I grew up listening to that kind of music, so I was very, very lucky. Having the kind of upbringing that I did. So that was very exciting for me. It's like growing up and having that access, not just access, but like having that exposure to the different kinds of music genres that my grandparents listened to and that my mother used to listen to. It really shaped who I am and the kind of music that I listen to today.
Yeah.
And it's opened my ears in ways that I realize now, because I see a lot of my students in class, or like not just my students, but other students in class also sometimes struggling with like different genres of music when it's not something they're familiar with. They don't always understand it very easily, but I've never had that issue because I've grown up listening to so many different genres of music that, for me, music is it's natural, right? I mean, whether it's listening to Bach, whether it's listening to like old school jazz music, whether it's listening to Bob Marley and his reggae, whether it's listening to like obscure Egyptian music. That's also something I grew up listening to. Yeah, I grew up like listening to pretty much everything.
I think the thing is the beat structures is always it's different. So like, certain things don't have an 808 or like a drum bass or like, I don't know, the tempo, the 4x4 structures. I think maybe that's what it is for people. I want to kind of like brush up on and briefly talk about your dance journey, which I'm sure you're used to doing when you do these sort of Instagram lives and things like that. But we're just gonna like quickly do it, and I just want to know from like, let's say, birth to now, the evolution of your dance journey. And yeah, let's just dive in so we get that knocked out.
All right. I mean, I've danced since I can remember. Yeah. Like I've always been someone who's just danced as as something I just did whenever I listened to music and whenever I was happy. But I never had too much of an idea about like, oh, I'm focusing on doing a style, or like I want to train in dance. I never had that sort of an aspect in my mind. It was just something I just purely loved doing, and I just did it whenever I felt it. That's kind of what dance was to me. And I never ever thought about it like as a career or something that I want to pursue, because this was just something for me that was like, I loved it and I just did it. Yeah, I just did it. I didn't even think about it. Like, I didn't even realize that it could be an option, because growing up, that was like, there was no such thing around me. Like, you know, there wasn't any dance infrastructure in India growing up. Like, right now, there are studios where you can go and learn, where, you know, there are teachers and stuff. But growing up, that unless you were doing Indian classical, it didn't really exist. Like, I mean, if you wanted to do ballet training in India back when I was growing up, there was no place you could go to. Like, you'd have to go abroad to learn ballet or jazz or hip hop or house or any other style that you wanted to do. I mean, dancehall didn't even exist in that question. But like, I mean, people didn't even know about the style in India. But like, let's say even like classical, other classical styles like ballet, or like, let's say flamenco or salsa or other those things, you could never really learn it in the studio if you wanted. So that's, I think, for me, there was no like real thought behind like, I want to be a dancer, because I never even understood that was an option growing up. And also I was very focused and very much into doing like biology growing up. I used to love watching Animal Planet and National Geographic and Discovery Channel, and that was like my thing. I wanted to be a herpetologist when I was growing up. Which is the study of amphibians and reptiles, and it's something I loved. So I mean, I went towards that line all throughout my life, and that's what I thought I wanted to make a career in. But then dance slowly started entering the picture. I mean, the more I grew up, the more I was learning about dance in general, and also the more I was dancing. I'd never started doing any professional training until like very recently, in terms of like my age. Now, I sound like I'm very old.
You do know you're younger than me, right? Like, I'm about to be 30 next year. You're still younger than me.
I should have said like in terms of percentage of my age, maybe more in line with what would be accurate. But so I think about the first year of my college. So I was about 19, 20 at that point of time.
Oh, so old. Oh my God,
so,
ancient history right now.
Ancient history,
Bloody hell.
So I was about 20, and that's when there were like these auditions in college for this dance crew, which was like the Western dance
team. Are we like this at that point?
Oh, I can't believe you.
Is that how we are at that point?
This is just before that.
This is just before that. I wanted to talk about this picture. When I found it, I was like, that is not him. I was like, that is not him. But then I looked at your nose and your eyes, and I was like, okay, that looks like him.
I'm wearing colored contacts, and I used to love having this mohawk back then.
Did you also go through that phase, which I feel like Asian boy went through, like in 2000s, like with spiky hair, blue or gray contacts and things like that?
Yeah. I very much did. Very much did.
Right,
this is when I was 18. This is when I was 18 years old. Yeah.
And no beard as well.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, I started growing a beard. I used to shave at that point. Like, I didn't want facial hair. Like, I started growing a little bit, but I didn't want facial hair at that point. I didn't think it was my look.
It wasn't cool at that point. I think like it only beards and everything has become like a trend in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, that's true.
So going back to dance, you were doing 18, 19, you're doing biology or something?
I was doing microbiology in college. So I was doing microbiology in college, but there was auditions for the dance team, and I kind of went, but I didn't get selected because I wasn't. Okay. I didn't actually get selected in the first year, but they said that I could like train with them, and try again next year. And so the second year I did get through to the team, and so that's when I started dancing. Because back then, like, I loved dancing in general, but obviously because I was somebody who'd never really trained in dance in general before that, like, I had no idea of like controlling my body. I just used to move, you know, like what we all kind of just do before we train in general. I was quite terrible as a dancer back then. But yeah, slowly with training, the dance team captain, his name was Vincent. He's like the first person who gave me like ideas about, different dance styles exist. Because to my mind, I just knew like hip hop existed because I knew different music genres from way back. So I knew hip hop as a music style, and I knew it also existed as a dance. So to me, most of the things that I saw on the internet was hip hop. But you know, the fact that there's house and there's locking and there's popping and there's crump and there's so many other facets of dancing, and there's dancehall and afro and jazz and contemporary and ballet and all of those different things. This concept of like having styles and having foundation behind those styles was something that he introduced me to. So I first started learning breaking, which is like b-boying from him.
Yes.
So that's technically the first ever style I kind of started learning.
Okay.
And then post that, he also taught me a bit of locking, and those are like the first two styles I ever kind of danced with. And post that, he used to keep teaching us, and we used to do a lot of these stage choreographies because we used to go to different fests and just perform like a fixed set.
I want to just pause for a second. When you say stuff like this, it makes me think of like the old Tushar Kapoor sort of movies, like Mujhe Kuch Kehna Hai, like where they do like the sort of like the uni competitions. They're like, yaar, maine isse beat karna hai, and stuff like that. And like we're competing with this college, and they're very like shamak based, like, and they're just like do 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 da. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. We used to have like these big fests, and we used to travel like not just in Calcutta to different universities, but also outside. Like we traveled around the country a bit, doing different competitions. We even went to Bombay to compete like in the whole nationals and all of that. So
what is the prize? What is the prize? What do you get? Is it just a trophy, or is it like a title?
Depends. Every fest used to have like a different thing. Some had big cash prizes. Some were like so famous that just, you know, winning the competition used to get you big recognition and whatever.
You're the top dog.
But but for us, like, we, like at least the team that when I joined it, they were already one of the best crews like in the country. And we've won most of the fests we've competed in.
Just like humbly, we've just won a couple of the competitions. Just say.
I mean, because at the end of the day, these are like college competitions, and it's not like professional dance crews. So there's a huge difference in terms of like quality. But
do you remember any of the choreo, and do you think you could do some of it right now?
I think I remember one of the pieces for sure.
Right, go on. Give us like 8 count, like a 5, 6, 7, 8.
Do you want me to do it to music?
You can do it without music as well. It's fine. You don't need to do it to music.
Okay. I think I remember one of them for sure.
Okay, go.
Yeah, I think I remember.
What, just a 1 and 2?
Okay, let me make sure you can see me.
Do you want me to count you down, or are you going to do your own thing?
You can count me down if you want.
All right, ready? And a 5.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. How is your memory so good, or are you freestyling right now? I feel like you're freestyling.
No, this is definitely the choreography.
Oh my god, I remember this move. Can I just say, I'm surprised you haven't done this. Because this is a situation that everybody does. It's the sort of situation into.
We used to do, so here's the thing, like Vincent, who was like our team captain, he was really one of those people who was like following, like, let's say like the peak dancers in America at the time, like, let's say like Bam Martin and the Kinjers and Keone and Marie. He used to follow all of these like really, really, really famous. I mean, none of us knew they even existed, but he was one of those people who had been following them for like years, since they were like, kind of known. And so like he was one of those people who really understood. I mean, now it's called open style, but back then it was, even a year ago, it was called urban dance.
Yeah.
So so like he was one of those people who like introduced urban dancing to our scene. And so that's why like none of these moves, they look like the traditional, choreography from colleges and stuff. Cause he really likes like innovating and like doing something new, And
so we move on from uni, what happens?
So like post that, I kind of finished college, and then I honestly didn't want to continue doing research.
No more microbiology.
And I kind of finished. The last 6 months of college were honestly terrible for me. Like I hated it. I hated having to give my tests and submitting my papers. And
I don't know how you do it. I know some microbiology students, or just in general, like law students and biology students, med students and stuff. That is hardcore stuff. Like your coursework, your exams. Oh my God, they are so serious.
Yeah, it really killed like the enjoyment and the love I had for it. Like I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna go through with this, because I realized like I'm one of those people who like, if I don't genuinely like love something with everything that I have, I can't do it. Like I can't do it. I can't be forced to do it no matter what. Like you could pay me all the money in the world and like I wouldn't care. You can't force me to do something if I don't actually want to. Like I'm one of those people. So post college, I kind of just spent like three to 4 months just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Because I was like, because all my life I was like sure that I wanted to be this researcher and like go into doing my PhD and studying biology. And then all of a sudden now post college, I'm like, I don't know what to do with my life. And I was like, what the? So yeah, I just took some time on my own to like figure out what I wanted to do. And in between this, since I was technically had just finished my exams and everything, I was still technically part of college. So I was still with the team. And so we went for this one other competition,
Yeah.
And this was in Bombay. And this time we didn't really win anything, and we didn't place very well at all, because we weren't for whatever reasons, we weren't well prepared, and we didn't do a good job. So obviously we didn't do very well at the competition. And that kind of drove me as to like, why? And I'm very driven as to winning. Like I'm very persistent about winning and doing well. If I care about something and I want to do well, I'm very persistent on winning. And so that kind of drove me to like, I want to come back next year and win. And if I want to come back next year to win this competition, then I want to make sure that I'm ready for it, And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to be really good at dancing, then I need to seek out training and train. And so that's when I started looking online for like these different schools. And then one of my crewmates, she suggested big dance to me in Delhi. And we were at that point of time, we were in Bombay, and they had just opened a branch in Bombay. So I kind of just went to the studio to visit, and I met the owner. And he was talking about this course that they have in Delhi next year. And so I just enrolled for it. And that was the first time that I actually went into formal dance training. So this was October 2016 was the first time I like entered a dance class, and I started training. That was in Bombay, actually, not Delhi, that was in Bombay. I came back after meeting him in Bombay. I came back a few months later to do the course. And that's when I first started my dance training over there. And it's called like a professional dance study program. And the first professional dance study program that I did, I kind of won the best student award, whatever kind of a thing.
Just humbly.
And so for me, that was like a push forward. Like, I think that really drove me to like, okay, maybe this is something I can do with my life. And I really thoroughly enjoyed those 2 months of training, like nothing else. Like,
what styles are you training, by the way? What styles are you training, and what was the first class you ever took in that course?
Okay, so the program is designed in a way where every week you have like a mandatory class that's different.
Okay.
And so the first week, the mandatory class was gymnastics. And the first week, that's the first class that I ever did, was a gymnastics class.
Yeah,
and then post that in the evening.
and stuff on your Instagram.
Yeah, pretty much. And post that in the evening, we had like classes that we could pick and choose, and we had a set number of classes that we had to complete to finish the course and stuff. So you could pick and choose, and I was basically training in hip hop, in crump, in locking, and house. Those were the 4 styles that I chose to train at. And you also had to do like a non-street style. So I was also training in street jazz at that point of time. And then the next month I did contemporary. So those were kind of the things that I started out with. But I was really into crump when I first started. I was really into crump and like getting to do all of the crump stuff. You can't really see my hands there. Yeah,
it's the muscles. I think it's the tensions of the muscles that I think sometimes like gets me off crump, because it's a lot. If people find it to be aggressive, but it's using certain muscles that it's a lot. It can do a lot on your body. Like it can tense you a lot.
I mean, many people mistake it for being an aggressive style. Like crump, at least to me, like when I was training, it's not an aggressive style. It's powerful. It's powerful for sure. It requires you to have a lot of internal strength to be able to move in the way that it demands. But it also is a style that gives you a very great amount of control when you really learn to master the foundations of the style, because that style is entirely built on speed and precision.
That's it, yeah.
Precision and power, all 3 at the same time. So if you can really master the foundations of that style, like it's one of those things that has helped me today to be a clean dancer. Like I've got my flow and stuff that comes from dancehall in general, and that has really come from dancehall training. But like my control and my body control in terms of like being able to do anything that I want in like quick successions with any parts of my body, that has really come a lot through my crump training.
All right.
So that's been a style that's really helped me. So yeah, that's pretty much the first bit of how my training started, and then that's how we continue. So I hope I'm not like talking too much. I'm not.
Oh my God, it's fine. Instagram gives us 4 hours now to talk, but don't you worry, I will edit as we go along. We're gonna do like bullet points now. So you do the Big Dance Center 2-month course. After that, what's the next? You do some more training just in Big Dance Center, or do you travel somewhere? Because I know you've done a couple of camps. So
right. So post that.
Yeah.
Okay. So post that. Basically, my schedule for the next 3 years was I used to do these PDSP courses at Big Dance, and these used to be 2 or 3 months long. And after that, or in between those courses, they used to happen twice a year. And in between those courses, I would go back home to Calcutta, and I would train with my crew. Whatever I learned from the PDSP, I used to train with my crew. And I used to train them in whatever I learned. So basically that was me self-training myself at the same point of time, because I was teaching them whatever I learned. And so
we used to drill. Is this the same crew from your uni, or you created a crew?
No, I mean, we decided to stick together post-college, and we were no longer a college crew. We were just like a dance crew at this point of time. So that's when we started competing in like the competitions with the other professional dance crews.
Got it.
So that's pretty much what I did for the next 3 years, and then next 2 years.
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah, next 2 years. And post that is when I did like my final PDSP as a student. Yeah. And I was awarded like a scholarship to go to Singapore.
Okay.
And that was like a full scholarship. So that was to Summer Jam. That's like a week-long, very intensive dance course where you do like 6 classes back to back in a day.
Yeah.
For a period of a week. It's really killing, but it's with like literally the best of the best dancers in the world, like from Keone Murray to everyone in Kinjas to Paris Goebel has taught there to, I mean, you name it, and they've been there. You know, Quick Crew has been there. I mean, literally, like you name anybody in the dance world, and they've all taught there. It's the biggest like dance camp in the world as such. Yeah. So it's marketed as such, but yeah, that's. There's also a dance jam that happens at the end of it, which is like a really big battle. It's called the. Yeah. There's a summer jam. The jam part of the summer jam camp happens at the end of it, which is also really amazing because you get to watch all of these dancers like who were like, oh, they're so good, and the battles there were like so amazing. So it was just before this course that I came to London. I was doing my IDVP with Danceworks, and that's where I did most of my ballet and contemporary training from, and also where I very intensely started drilling my dancehall, because I was already doing dancehall training back a little before that. I'd been doing dancehall for about a year before that, and then post that point of time is when I really started to drill in, the details and like the complexities of the style, because I got to learn from so many different teachers as well.
So we'll pause there, and I just want to ask you a couple of things, which is, and you told me a story about how you got into dancehall, and one of the ladies, I can't remember,
Sherry, Johnny Sherry.
Yeah. How you got? I just want to ask you in regards to your dancehall journey and how that began, and how you kind of settled. I know you have like you very much still are connected to like house, hip hop, jazz, and other styles. But I personally feel like through talking to you and stuff like that, and through seeing the visuals that you put out, that dancehall is the style that has become distinct to you, right?
I mean, it is. I think dancehall is the thing that like I connected to the most. Oh, yeah. Hi, Meghna. That's another friend of mine. So yeah, I think dancehall definitely is the style that like I've connected to the most. I mean, I've loved pretty much so many of the other styles that I've just danced to, and which is why I still do them, and I still training it. Thanks, Meghna. She's like, I'm killing it. So yeah, I have very supportive friends, which I'm very, very thankful for.
I think it's brilliant that it is like past midnight to them right now, and your friends are up, like literally like killing it for you, supporting you.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for
guys. If any of my friends have bothered to tune in, it'll be nice for you to support me, like Gairik has his friends supporting him. You pieces of shit.
So yeah. Oh dear, I've lost track in my mind.
Dancehall training. I just want to know in dancehall. So you.
Right. Thanks so much.
No.
Meghna thinks you look stunning as well.
Well, I think it's like literally all I've been trying to do is look good, as Gairik is like killing it, and my hair's a mess, and I'm just like constantly looking and fixing. It's annoying, but yes, dancehall training.
So yeah, it was during one of these PDSP courses that Janvi ma'am had come to like teach as one of those mandatory teachers. Like she was 1 week, one of the mandatory classes that we had to do. And that's when I first got experience to this style, and that was back in 2017. So that's when I was like, wow, because this was very different from the kind of training that I was doing at the time. I was doing a lot of krump, I was doing a lot of house, I was doing a lot of hip hop. And this was a style that was very, very different from everything else that I'd seen. And it kind of caught my intrigue, and I was like, I want to learn more about it. And then I went to Bombay, and then I was training with her. Then post that, she's the one who basically gave me like my base and my foundation of like what dancehall is, what is there in the culture, what are the things that I need to know about dancehall to be, understand it. Because, I mean, you can watch a dance style and try and copy it, but there's so many nuances to be able to justify and understand the culture of that style that only once you actually really start to learn about it in detail that you can really justify what you're doing with your movement. And so she's the one who really like helped me clear my base and know the things that were important. And so post that, I was training with whatever I'd learned from her, and I was doing a lot of my own research. And after that, there was another teacher in Delhi, and I'd learned from him for a while. And post that was mostly a lot of just self-training and like teaching myself and watching as many other dancehall dancers as I could and learning from them as best as possible. Post that, my London trip was the thing that really helped me the most, because I met so many. Meghna is also a dancehall dancer, by the way.
Meghna,
she's a wonderful dancer.
I just want to let you know, you inspire me a lot. The reason I am the person that I am today is because of you. I don't know how I would live without you. Thank you so much. And Gairik as well, obviously.
So yeah, actually, when I was training with Janvi ma'am, Meghna was also there when that's because she's part of her crew.
Inspiring you, obviously.
Yeah, she's definitely inspired me in many ways. She's like an amazing photographer and videographer as well. So she's definitely an inspiration for me in the other side of work that I do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much like where I first did my dancehall training, and that's the kind of stint.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah,
she's very feisty. She's very feisty.
She's absolutely amazing. She's wonderful. I mean, if you ever meet her in person, and I hope you really do get to, she's quite wonderful to be around.
I know she is. Like I said, inspiration. Hello. And so then you come to London, and then you started taking classes, and we met at Jess's, and you did some classes at Danceworks, I believe.
Yeah. So I was mostly doing most of my like ballet and contemporary training at Danceworks, and then post my course timings in the evenings is like, not the evenings, but more like at night. At night is when I used to get free. So that's when I used to do all the other classes like Jess's class, and then I used to go to all the other dancehall and Afrobeat classes. I used to do class with Homebros. I'm sure you know them. Yeah. So yeah, they teach at base, and they're the ones who've really inspired any bit of Afro that I have in me is from them. Like they're pretty much the only Afro teachers that I've had as such. So Homebros is like a huge inspiration for anything that I've done in terms of like my Afrobeat. I've had a lot of different dancehall trainers, and obviously Jess is one of those people who's like really pushed me and like. But I've met so many. I mean, I've done dancehall classes in London with like so many, pretty much every teacher there, whoever's taught. Oh, hi Shadi. Shadi is also. Oh, right. He's also one of the dancehall dancers that dancehall teachers that I was able to learn from in London as well.
Oh, nice.
There's DHK Sharkman. There's Laura. There's Martha. There's DHK Pandey. I mean, I literally did classes with everybody, you know, in London. And so because for me, it was all about learning. And I went there to learn as much as I could because I was there for like just 3 months. And for me, that was a very short amount of time to be able to learn from like so many wonderful people. So I did like as many classes as I could from as many people. So yeah, I was very grateful to have learned like so much from all of them.
From so many people. I want to talk about in regards to dancehall specifically, because I talk about this with Jess as well, and I think I talked about it with you when we took that dancehall class in Danceworks. To me, it's a very provocative, dare I say, sexualized sort of dance, and I feel like we're still in the new age. We're like in the new age generation where like sexuality and provocative and stuff like that. But from my aspect, like growing up in Europe and seeing the perception of what Indian dancing was to me, I very much thought that India had a basis of just classical dancing and like Bollywood dancing. Those were the only things. So I think like as like digital space has become more populated and I've been able to see talent such as yourself, but I just want to see like, how does the mindset of people around you, do you guys get like shunned? Do you sometimes feel like it's wrong? Like, I don't know why, but certain values that I have instilled in me, it feels sometimes like weird, like even doing a commercial class and like moving like this sometimes feels like I don't know, it feels like I'm doing my culture wrong sometimes. Like, do you feel like that, or has that ever happened from people around you?
I know it's happened to a lot of my friends who are women, where, you know, because of maybe the kinds of clothes they're wearing, because it's a little revealing to other people, they might get, you know, called out on social media and stuff. But I personally haven't faced it. I've posted, I mean, quite a few videos of me where
you just go shirtless, mate. You don't care.
So yeah, I mean, for me, I've honestly never really thought about like, you know, the style as anything separately sexual. Like for me, dance is just dance, and if I can be sexy even if I'm doing hip hop. I can be sexy. I can be aggressive even if I'm wearing heels. You know, I don't, just because I'm wearing heels, even as a guy, like it doesn't mean I'm trying to be sexy at the same. I could be an aggressive dancer who's wearing heels, right? And I can also be aggressive while doing dancehall. Like I could be very powerful and not be sexual while doing dancehall. If I'm doing Badman style, it is a very powerful and very I mean, it's definitely not sexual in any way. So I think it's personally me. I'm thankful for whatever. I mean, obviously being a guy, that's a huge advantage. That I don't.
Sorry, I'm just reading. Thank you, man.
Being a guy, I've been lucky that I don't have to face sexual harassment in many ways. But I know definitely a lot of my girlfriends have faced it, and I know it definitely exists.
I think I just think of India as such a like I said, from a European aspect, and like in the way that we're brought up, it's considered like the motherland. And yes, there's like, we can discuss the whole Kama Sutra aspect and whatever aspect of India, or like, even Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or like Pakistan and all these countries included. There's a certain amount of like sacredness and things that still go with it. So I'm just wondering if you have ever felt that.
I've never grown up in a family where, sexuality is separate. It is sacrilege. I mean, sexuality isn't sacrilege. I mean, just because you're expressing what you feel about yourself in a certain way doesn't make it sacrilegious. At least not in the way that I was brought up. My parents I'm very thankful to be in a kind of household where, they're very pro-sex and pro-everything else, whether it be pro-LGBT or
interesting.
pro-life in general.
So interesting to hear. Like, especially when the portrayal of media and everything is so, like, against everything.
I mean, I never really grew up in that kind of a household. So for me, like, I've never really thought about it separately. I mean, if I feel sexy and I want to dance sexy, I just do it. I mean, I don't really think, what are people going to think, or like, I honestly, I don't ever think about those things. For me, dance is just an art, and it's a way for me to say what I don't want to say with words, and it's a way for me to just feel. It's not even, sometimes it's not me even saying anything. It's just me feeling what I'm feeling through the music, and I'm just doing what the music tells me to. I don't always necessarily have something to say. I'm sometimes just trying to say what the music makes my body say.
Okay.
So I honestly I very rarely ever think, I need to be sexual, with this song because the lyrics are sexy, or the feel of the song is sexy, or like I need to be, sad because the song lyrics are sad, or like what. I don't really think about those things separately. I just do what comes to me.
Okay. Fascinating. I want to move on, but I don't know why. I just got prompted this as you're saying that. I wonder if you have, I'm trying to find the right words how to word this question. But again, like, I think for me, shirtlessness for guys even didn't exist even back in the day. And I think like Salman Khan would be the first person like who kind of did that scene scenario. And do you kind of, like, oh my God, there's so many questions in my head, but I think what I'm trying to get to, would you dance shirtless, and would you find it still sexy if you didn't have a six-pack ab and a chiseled chest and stuff like that? Do you think? Would you still do it? And do you feel the pressure because you have to do certain things like that, or there's certain movements that require that certain type of vocabulary? Like, let's say if I'm going to X Factor and I need to audition for X Factor right now, I know as I've walked in the room before, Brian Friedman will go like, okay, guys, tops off now. And like, unless I'm in a specific shape, because I know if a dance style requires it, or if the content requires me to do that on Britain's Got Talent or anything, I know that commercially or what is required of that style, I have to be that way. So what I'm trying to say is, do you ever feel that in that sort of way? And would you be able to do that or not really? I feel like
well, to answer your first question, if I were to not have a six pack, and if I didn't have the body that I did, would I still dance shirtless?
And would you still be
Depends,
comfortable? Would you still be comfortable as much?
I mean, honestly, this is very hard for me to say without actually being in that position. You know,
I have always had six packs up and a chiseled chest.
No, it's just like it's not about the fact that I have a physique that I'm like proud of or whatever, but like I'm comfortable the way that I look.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care if anybody thinks otherwise. Like I'm very okay, you know, with myself, even if I'm fully naked. Like I'm perfectly comfortable with my own body. And so whether or not I wouldn't be if I look different is hard to say without actually being in that position.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I could look at myself and like compare myself to someone who's way more ripped than I am and be like, you know, I don't look like that, so maybe I shouldn't take my shirt off. Like, I mean, I could still think that, you know, and people who maybe aren't as ripped as me might feel the same way looking at me. And I mean, this is just an endless cycle, you know.
I know. No, I feel you. I will say sometimes
So,
it is nice, like when I've been to Jess's class or when I've been to like other people, or like when I go carnival and things like that, it doesn't matter what shape, size and everything you are, like people are just moving and it's just doing things. But I wonder from your perspective if it would be like that for you. But anyway, we'll move on, as you have said. I kind of want to get into like the gritty stuff, which is the dance scene in India. For me, the dance scene in India has always been, like I said, classical, Bollywood, and that's it. Only in the last, I'd say 5 or maybe like 6 years have I been exposed to the big dance center, to the dance competitions, to the exchange programs that happen, the contemporary scene that has grown up there. Like I'm a massive fan, and you know this, of like Eden. I see him and his vocabulary and the way that he moves, and then like yourself as well, and certain other people that I've seen, and like whacking. There's a tremendous amount of like whacking dancers there. But I want to know the logistics, the survival of a dancer in India, the support of like if a young kid was to be like, hey, I want to dance to my dad or my mom, because here there's so many different avenues. You've got theaters, you've got different styles of dance that you can go into, you've got companies, you can dance for film and TV. Like, how does logistically it work then? You've told me this, but I just want to like, get to know that a little bit for people that don't.
Yeah. So,
how do you survive as a dancer?
The opportunities for a dancer in India are currently, let's say, in comparison to something in London, because that's one of the other dance scenes in the world that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
It's obviously more limited for sure, but it's not that it's not possible to have a really good living at the moment either.
Yeah.
It's just that either you have to be very commercially successful.
When you say that, what does that mean, commercially successful?
By commercially successful, for me, it's basically like if you were someone who has a lot of people who are willing to learn from you, or willing to call you to teach at their camps, or willing to do productions with you, willing to hire you for music videos, or so on and so forth. And the other is if you have connections to the right people who will get you those jobs.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because let's say like for music videos, or like music videos that don't require, the most, like, I mean, for a music video, you don't have to be the most trained dancer to like be in that video and still do a good job. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rarely that they need the top 10 most prima ballerinas to do a music video, right? I mean, you don't need that level of precision of like dance training and control to do a music video. But let's say like if you were someone who was friends with a director or somebody who's in the industry and someone who who gets in touch with people who get these jobs, right? You would more likely be in more videos than other people. And if you were in videos regularly enough and you did a good job, you may not be the best dancer around, but you might be earning more than other people who are better than you.
What is the genre of these music videos? Is it just Indian music, like Hindi music, or it's like the Raja Kumaris and like the...
it's honestly anything. Honestly, anything. Like any kind of music that's made in Bombay. It could be like even like the underground rappers. They have music videos now where they have dancers coming up.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've heard any of like Divine's music, or so there are a lot of these. I mean, like the rap scene in India. I mean, he's currently the biggest rapper India has at this point of time.
Okay.
Not biggest. I mean, biggest and most commercially successful at the moment.
Okay.
He's the most popular rapper at the moment. But there are so many other rappers like like Emiway and obviously Bacha and like so many of the other rappers. Let's say a music video for them. Like if you have like a 10-second scene where you just need to groove for like a little bit, at the back, just behind them. Because, I mean, let's say if you're dancing with them, they aren't dancers. So, you know, you don't need to do the craziest of moves. If you're just grooving behind them, you just need to be on sync. So you don't really need the most amount of dance training to do a good job in a music video when
I feel like that's here too. I feel like that's here too, because here there's such a scene that you don't need to be. I almost always say this. I think the audition process to get a job is not comparable to the work that is produced in a music video, because you will go to hell to get that audition. Like the audition process is almost more stressful and more difficult than the actual job, because the actual job could literally, like you're saying, could just be a sway with like a little, like a little signature move.
But here's the thing: you have audition processes for that job. Here it doesn't work like that. No. Here you get the job if you know the guy who's hiring.
Is there agencies? Do you guys not have agents?
And so that's the thing here, is that in terms of like the work, that's why I said either you're very commercially successful and you have a lot of followers on Instagram and people who want to learn your classes and your choreographies are popular. Not necessarily that you're the best dancer, but you are one of the more popular dancers who people want to learn from, or you're someone with connections that's going to get you the job.
Got it. When we spoke last, you said survival is almost working in terms of teaching. Do you still need to teach in order to survive? Like, does a dancer, or am I paraphrasing, or am I getting something wrong? From my understanding, it was like you have to almost teach in a way or work in music videos. Like, is there no other alternative?
I mean, you either teach, you either work as a performer. There's only really.
When you teach, because sometimes here things like this happen. When somebody is a teacher, like let's say at Base, at Pineapple, one of these big studios, they sometimes end up getting stereotyped as just being a choreographer and a teacher. And especially if you're doing regular classes, it's very difficult when you start getting popularity to book jobs just as a dancer.
Does that happen here? It's actually different. If you are one of the more popular teachers, people might approach you more to do more music videos with them. It's quite different. So yeah, either you are a teacher at a studio, or you teach on your own. You have your own place where you teach something, one of those two, or you are working in Bombay as an industry dancer, basically, where you are going to either sign up with an agency, or people who are going to call you for shoots.
Okay.
And so so we don't really have like agents and stuff here as such for like most of the dancers, but there are agencies who hire dancers, but they don't necessarily have like signed dancers to them. Is it just sense?
Like signed talent, so it can include like musicians, like creative people, just in general?
These agencies are more like for models and other talents, and they'll usually ask people who work for them to help them find dancers because they need it, that kind of thing. But this is more like the music video kind of scene that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there's this Bollywood background dancer job that also exists, so to work for all the Bollywood films, like to dance behind the actors, that's the other job that a lot of people want to run behind, and that's a job that you can get through like an agency as such. The thing is, you have to get a card made, and that card costs a lot of money.
What do you mean by get a card made?
you basically have to sign a document and pay a certain amount of money that certifies you as an official dancer who can work in the industry. And that it's a lot of money to pay, like more money than you'll earn in like a year maybe.
Is it like a union? So we have like equity over here, which like, let's say if you don't get paid on time or if there's ever any issues, they will step in for you. Is it kind of like that?
Unfortunately, no. If you don't have the card and you're working in a shoot, they'll come and kick you out. But if you're not getting paid on your job, there's no guarantee that they're going to come and help you.
How much is that card, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's 4 lakhs, which I honestly have no idea about, like the currency exchange to pounds, but it's a lot of money. It's over. Give me like a second, I can maybe tell you.
No, I think that's so fascinating that firstly, that Indian dancers can still get Bollywood work, because whenever I watch Bollywood movies, and having worked in Bollywood myself for like over 8 years, whenever we get the movies here, like in the start, it used to be like, I've done like Jab Tak Hai Jaan and like Houseful and all those ones. And like, I don't really care because I don't really want to work in Bollywood anymore. So oh wow. So I'm like,
sorry,
okay, no, it's fine. So I'm okay to bash some people on there. But like, I remember working on Houseful, and Raimu D'Souza purposely put all the Asian dancers at the back and all of like the white dancers and the black dancers at the front. And I know a lot of white dancers from here, especially because I've worked with Bollywood companies who hire white dancers and black dancers now, or like will have that because the Indian dancers or the Asian dancers just don't want to work in Bollywood. But they'll get flown to like India to do all of like the award shows and like the Big Boss and stuff like that, and they'll get put in front. So like it's just interesting because I don't see a lot of movies with like back in the day where there used to be so many Indian dancing. It's almost as if like we're discouraged to be in our own industry sometimes.
Yeah,
and our industry has become a joke. Like here, the Bollywood dancing has become very much a joke sometimes.
Why do you say so? I mean, I'm not like super in touch with like the Bollywood dancing in London.
Asian,
but
it's very political here. It's very politicized. So like if you're working with this company, you can't work with that company, or like it's or like the choreographies that are like shown are very much typical, or like if it's just very much a joke. So like I have my friend who's Asian and she's a dancer and she has no passions of being in Bollywood, and every time she comes to me and she's like, oh, you're doing Bollywood dancing, I'm like, actually no, I teach Bhangra. It's very different. And then she'll always do this, and that pisses me off. But there's a lot of people like that. But then on the opposite side, there's a massive craze of it where like a song might come out from a movie and people have to do a cover of it, and like otherwise they won't get views on Instagram, or they won't like I don't know.
So yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, people in the industry aren't discouraged, but honestly, like Bollywood is the industry is really known for like working on terms of like contacts. Like if you know the right people, you get the job. Otherwise, bad luck. I mean, unfortunately, it's not very talent determined. Like just because you're the best. Just because you're the best doesn't necessarily mean you're going to earn the most or be the most well recognized. Yeah. And that's currently where we're at. But I mean, honestly, you can't. What can you do to change the system? It is how it is.
I think social media
also, like,
changes it.
And also, like, let's say, like, I mean, if you talk about in general, for someone to appreciate dance, they also have to know a little bit about it to like understand it. I mean, because like, let's say if you're doing, let's say, a piece that's more movement based, you know, it doesn't have to be any style, but like, just let's say you're doing a piece based on just movement in general. Yeah. If you ask an average person whether they'd prefer to watch this or someone doing like flips and tricks for like 2 minutes straight, they'd prefer to see that, right? Because that's more attractive, and they're not dancing, but to them, what difference is it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that thing. So I mean, it's kind of it's what the world is like in general. I think with most things, like just because you're very talented doesn't always guarantee that you're going to do well in life, or be very good at or be commercially successful. But it is getting better is what I can say. It is getting better now with time. Like people are starting to recognize and understand that, when the same person does the same thing for the 100th time, maybe something is not quite right.
You say that. I think it's interesting you bring that up because I was just speaking earlier about with a friend of mine, and I think we spoke about this last time you were here in London as well, and I was going through the same thing. It's things like that, and I think just like my personal journey, which kind of like I have other avenues. I've always wanted to act and produce and, be in a storytelling way, and I feel like dance is an extension of that. Like you said, it's a way of telling the story, visually, and I don't know why. I think that's made me just turn all of these politics and all of these little things involved. It's made me turn off from dance and not be involved in it anymore, which brings me to next question. I think that's like my personal journey, but have you ever had a moment where you have just been absorbed by all of this and your own light for dancing has been diminished and you've just been like, I actually don't care about dancing anymore, teaching anymore, like I'm fine?
I'm gonna say touch wood. I haven't been through that situation yet. Obviously, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm not in that position. I haven't been through that position yet, and I'm very thankful that I haven't, because I know people who have, and I know people who've gone through, especially this last year, because of everything, and because of so much. Like so many people have been like, I just don't want to dance anymore, and I don't know. For me, like it's one of those things I can't leave. Like no matter what happens, like this is where I go to escape. Even if I do this like 24/7 now, it's still where I go to escape when I'm at home alone. Even if I've danced in the studio for a whole day, if I'll come home, I'm just gonna play my favorite song and I'm just gonna dance, even if I'm not dancing full out. Like I'm still gonna dance in my head and just groove to the music, and that gives me peace. And I obviously some people do yoga, some people do meditation. I dance, and I don't think that's a thing I can just say like I'm gonna walk away from someday.
That's nice. I hope you never have that feeling. I hope you.
I really hope to. Fingers crossed.
I hope to God nobody has that feeling for something that they love and they're passionate about. I want to kind of segue to your style and your distinctive voice as a dancer, teacher, and a choreographer. I can't remember. I think it was the playground or Rombe or like some of these classes that I have attended. And I think in certain classes you get told like how to experiment with like sensations with different hands and, what your fluidity of your movement is or like what you identify as. And I think when I see some of your videos and like personally having like seen you move, to me you're very much of like a like a powerful calming storm, if that makes sense. Like you have very much of a strength and a liquidity, but you have a precision and a control, which again we talked about from Crump. But I want to ask, how do you create? Do you feel like you've created a distinct style or a voice as an artist, i.e. dancer and teacher and a choreographer? Or obviously we still develop, but what would you say would it be for you?
I think I'm still in that process of finding what I really feel is mine. I definitely know it's with dancehall as my main influence because I understand and I feel that style the most. But also because of so much training that I've done and because of the amount of vocabulary that I have, I also want to move in various different ways that style maybe doesn't allow me. And so I'm still in that movement where I'm learning to fuse everything that I have to make it mine.
Yeah.
Even in general, like my dancehall choreographies are not very like traditional dancehall choreographies. Like they're not very traditional dancehall choreographies at all. But it is how I interpret dancehall in terms of a choreography. Because there's a difference between just dancing a style and choreographing a style, for me at least. Yeah, I mean, you can being a contemporary dancer, I mean, if you're okay, maybe I'll give an easier explanation because I think I'll be able to more easily describe it. But let's say with crump, I mean, there's a dancer dancing crump on like crump music, but like let's say if I play a classical piece of music, you can't start dancing the same way, right? I mean, or let's say if even if I play like a classic Bollywood track, you can't dance crump the same way to that song. You could still be dancing crump, but you have to alter your movements, you know, in order to justify
the journey of the music. That is,
right. And so for me, I'm in that process of learning how to justify various genres of dance, various genres of music with using dancehall as my base.
But what would you say would be, so, you know, some dancers are very much like, they like attack. So like, they'll be like, boom, cat, cat, like, or some people really enjoy like sexy movements, or some people really like, you know, precision. What would you say when you're dancing, if it fits in the pocket for you? Like when we talk about Paris Global, she very much has an attack situation. So she'll be like, boom, cat, cat. Like when you look at Brian, he's very much like, zoom, 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 and like he's very detail orientated, whereas Wade is more about like feeling, and he's like flowy and he's earthy. Or, you know, when you talk about Jess, she's very much like joyous, floating, but she sits in the pocket. So what would you say would be for you?
Very, very good question. But also a very, very difficult answer for me to give at the same point of time. I think I'd say I'm one of those dancers who's very, how do I say? Oh, this is such a difficult question. This is the right answer because I'm like really, really having to think really hard to like, oh, this is exactly how I describe myself. But
I think it's also about like, sorry.
I'd say I'm more of someone who likes to say stories. That's more like if I have to pick a thing, I really don't want to have to pick something, but if I do it,
you can say I'm a mixture of this, and this. It's fine. Like you can be a mixture of like.
But the thing is, like, is because I dance to like, let's say if you look at like the last 1.5 years of my choreographies, I've danced to contemporary kind of music. I've danced to dancehall. I've danced to Afrobeat. I've danced to indie pop. I've danced to Bollywood music. I've danced to R&B, I've danced to hip hop, and I've done dancehall choreographies on all of those different kinds of genres of music. So the thing is that I never approach any of those songs in the same way. Ever, because they're such vastly different genres. And so for me, it's more so, especially like my choreography process. I obviously can't speak for other people, but my choreography process is very much me in one place.
Okay.
I don't really choreograph dancing, if that makes sense. When I'm actually
because one of the questions is about like your choreography process. So yeah, go ahead, talk about that.
So yeah, my choreography process is actually, I have this little mini version of myself in my head. And I kind of look at him with this amazing 3D camera that I can put at any angle at any point of time and infinite zoom and do anything with him. And I kind of watch him through that camera's eyes. And I kind of listen to the music and I imagine him moving.
Okay.
And if I really like what I see, that ends up being a part of my choreography. So
do you sometimes feel like, so I do that as well, and I feel like a lot of people do, but do you sometimes feel like your imaginary version cannot hit or do certain things that your actual physical body can do? So like, I might imagine in a contemporary song, like my leg is all the way here, but in actuality, my leg ain't there no more, it's over here.
So that used to happen to me a lot in the past.
Yeah.
But as time has progressed, I've gotten better at doing whatever I wanted to. Like today, if I imagine I want to do a backflip and go into almost a split and then do like a backspin or some crazy shit like that. I mean,
Yeah.
totally not dancehall, but like if I wanted to, I could. And if I wanted to do an extremely slow body wave and melt into the floor, I could do that too. And I think that's the reason I've maybe pushed my body very hard in terms of training is because I've had moments like this that you're describing that, you know, I wanted to do something, but I've just been physically incapable of doing it. And I hate that feeling. I hate like thinking, oh, this would be perfect, but I can't do it.
Is it because you like winning and the aspect of you not being doing it, it would be failing, so therefore you'd be failing yourself, and that is the ultimate demise.
Yeah, in many ways, yeah. So I'd say that's been a huge push for me. Like, is if I want to be able to do something crazy with my body, I've made sure that I'm able to do it now. And obviously, I mean, there's so many more levels I still have to go, but I'm thankful that I'm able to usually pull out pieces. I'm able to at least physically. I'm able to. Oh God, I'm stuttering so much. That was so bad.
No,
I'm physically capable of doing them now. Is what I'll say.
Oh my God,
even if I don't sometimes like execute them perfectly, I'm still physically capable of doing most of the movement I imagine myself doing.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. By the way, I'm putting on socks because it's bloody cold in London.
Damn.
No, it really is. Like I could show you outside and I'll be like,
what is it like? Is it snowing or no?
No, it's not snowing yet. It's not snowing yet. It brings me to my next question, which is, sometimes when I have to teach classes, and we'll ask this, there's different stages of choreographing and teaching. So when we choreographing versus for TV, for classes of different level, for stage, we're going to dissect and quickly like do a minute on each. When sometimes you choreograph and you have a vision and choreography naturally comes to your head for a song that you're going to do in class, do you sometimes feel like you have to alter it because your students might not be able to do it, as well as, let's say, if you're doing it for talent on a music video or a concept video, you know some of the dancers around you, certainly like, let's say Meghna, who you want to do a video, and you'll be like, okay, I want to really do this move, but I feel like, I know she's capable of it, but on her body, it might not look good. So I have to alter it.
So I'll tell you, in terms of like choreographing for music videos, I don't ever compromise on the movement, because if I'm choreographing for a music video, I'm gonna do the visuals that I want. And if the dancer is not capable of doing it, it's on them, because they're professional. And I mean, it's on them, honestly. Like, it's because I mean, like, if I show up to set and say like, you know what, I can't do that. That's me. I mean, you should fire me at that point of time, right? Because I'm a professional, and
not all dancers who are of a professional level. This is what, like, even here, like I at one point was a professional dancer. I can't do a backflip anymore. So
but like, let's say, I mean, I'm not hiring. If I wanted someone who is really good at doing flips, I would hire someone who is really good at doing flips, right?
Got it.
That's also the thing. I mean, so if I expect a certain kind of groove, and they're coming to me as a professional dancer, I would expect that of them, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not capable of delivering it, that's on them. But in class, I choreograph a lot of pieces that I don't end up shooting, I don't end up posting, because I choreograph like a lot. I just don't end up actually posting a lot of the content that I have. Like, let's say in this last week alone, I've done 3 choreographies, and I don't think no one's ever going to see those pieces.
Why?
So it is like that with me. I'm very like that. I mean, I have a lot of bank with me whenever I need to go somewhere, if I need them at any point of time.
But let's say for class space, by the way, we're going to talk about the digital space, and I think that's when we'll do that.
I miss you, Meghna. I really do.
I feel like Meghna needs to be like the third correspondent co-host of this. If we had a platform, Meghna, I would love to have you on as well. But yes, go on.
So yeah, for class, what I'll do is I usually just choreograph. And when I'm choreographing for class, I usually have a specific thing that I'm trying to teach the students on a week. Okay. And I'll choreograph a piece according to it. So if I'm let's say if I'm working on like speed changes for a particular week,
Yeah.
I'm going to make the movement, like the choreography, easy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to work too much on execution on the choreography that week. But I'm really going to make the speed changes very difficult for them.
Got it.
You know, and similarly, if I'm working on flow change, or if I'm working on texture controls, or if I'm working on just like maybe middle school dancehall foundation, so on and so forth. That's usually the small little tweak that I do. But for shoots and stuff, no, I never compromise.
Okay, describe quickly to me the differences of dancing and choreographing for class, stage, and film.
By film, you mean like movies, or?
It can be movies, it can be music videos, it can be like for Instagram content video and stuff like that. So anything. So that's film composes of all of that.
Okay. So for class, for me, honestly, every choreography that I teach in class, which is usually the things that I post, is very focused on one element of trying to teach something for that day. Usually, all of my choreographies are focused on some particular element. That's usually the main thing that I think about when I'm doing class choreographies. If I'm doing choreographies for shows, I focus more, like if I'm doing for a crew or a big stage performance, I usually focus more on visuals, because obviously I have more people to work with. So the main thing that I really think about is the visual look of the piece as a whole, and what it'll look like to an audience with 30 people. And for music videos, it's a very complicated thought process, because I do a very different breakdown, because every time the song is different or the theme is different, and it's a much more nuanced thought approach that I'd have to give you like specific examples and break down with it. So it's much more nuanced for every instance.
What about as a dancer for all three?
If it's just for myself, honestly, I close my eyes and I do what I feel. I don't really think at that point of time. If it's for myself, I don't think.
I think that's so interesting you say that, because I was trying to get an answer and I wondered if you would do the same. So like, I don't know if you would agree or disagree with this. I'm going to quickly brush up on this, which is like when you dance in a class, right, there's different levels. So you have to cater as a dancer and as a choreographer. And you have to, for me, and I've talked with lots of people, you have to ensure that the choreography that you do that your students will be able to do it, but still be challenged. But when you do something theater, so like for the stage, you have to ensure that you won't necessarily add a lot of intricacies. So I won't necessarily do like a lot of hand stuff, because I know somebody in like the top row or like the third circle or the stalls might not be able to see me, but somebody on the base will be. Whereas opposed to when you do for film or camera, you'll be able to like do stuff with your face or your hands, and they'll be able to do like footwork. And your energy has to be reserved as a dancer because you're going to do like 16 to 100 takes of like the same thing. Whereas on stage, you'll go 10 minutes of performance, boom, adrenaline gone. But do you agree with that or not agree? Or for you, it's always been about like mental and like you described everything else?
This is do we have, okay, I'm gonna brush on this really quick.
Yes.
So for me on stage, because I've had a lot of experience with like being on stage a lot, I'm very capable of like, in terms of like energy control, I'm usually very good at it right now. So even if I need to go on stage and perform 20 times, I'm really able to do it now. As opposed to I wasn't before. But like when I'm in terms of like energy and performance, for me, I honestly don't ever think about it, because I'm expected and I'm trained enough to be able to do what is needed of me when I have to deliver. If I have to dance 20 times, I'm going to do it full out 20 times, because I train myself to get to that point of time. So I never really think about having to reserve energy anymore. I used to, even a couple of years back, I used to have to think about doing that. I no longer need to.
That's a skill set.
In terms of like choreography,
skill set.
I've honestly, I've had to work very hard to be able to pull this off, but I'm capable of doing it now.
Yeah.
But in terms of like choreography, yeah, for sure, music videos are something that I'll actually I'll think less about choreography and more about angles, because I think more about shots and what kind of dance would look good with that shot is what I think about more. Versus on stage, I think more about visuals overall. I think that's what I'll boil it down to. Class, I honestly, I told you, I don't really think unless I'm working on specifically something to teach the students that week.
Got it.
I don't really think too much about class choreographies, in terms of like detailing.
Got it. Question. We're going to now move on to the digital space era that it has brought us together. How do you feel, and I've asked this to a couple of dancers / choreographers that I've had on this, and even when I have, how do you feel like the digital space has changed positively and negatively from your perception, whether that is, do you have to now do a video at the end of the class to film because the students want it and like it has to be there, and like you have to put groups and like people have to do situations like that, or like, doing a popular song and you're kind of like pressured, or choosing a specific song, or like having views like I think you yourself have mentioned, or in regards to booking jobs, or TikTok trends, or like whatever it is, like how has the overall digital space positively and negatively impacted your
me
and your
personally, or like just my perception of it?
So let's say your perception of what you have seen for the industry, and then your personal experience.
Okay, so in terms of like my perception, I'll say that most things honestly now are not, like most pieces of work that I see online aren't stuff that I enjoy very much watching, because it's a lot of all the same. And I mean, honestly, I'm still one of those people who really like to be different as best as possible. Like, I know being regular with your content is more important, and that's what's going to help you get engagement and all of those things. But I honestly don't always film my classes, and there are weeks that I don't teach a choreography. I haven't posted like in 2 weeks, like I haven't posted anything in from like my class videos and stuff, because I haven't taught a choreography, because I didn't think it was important that week. I'm still one of those people, like if I want to teach just foundations for a whole week, I'm going to just teach foundations, because if I feel that, let's say in one class, I'm going to see people are struggling with a certain kind of foundation in the choreography, and I realize that, I need to work with them more on this, the next week I'm not going to teach a choreography, I'm just going to work with them. And even if that week doesn't help them, I'm going to do another week where I need to work on something else with them. And for me, it's more important, because it's more important to me to like not have to think about filming. I'm never going to force myself to like, because I want to get more students in my class, I'm going to, film everything that I do, or I'm going to post it on Instagram, or I'm going to do a popular song and stuff like. I still haven't. I don't think till date I've not done a very popular trendy Hindi song yet. Like I'm just not one of those people who can. It's not possible for me to. Like of all the Hindi songs that I've ever danced to, they've all been like much older classics, because those are things that I connect to the most. Like the piece that I think most people know me by is Suraj Hua Madham, and I don't know, that song came out maybe in 94, 95.
It's 2002. Calm down.
2000. Okay, sorry, I'm totally off on dates, but whenever that song came out. 2002. So my point is still valid. It's a very old song. It's a classic old song, and so I still don't dance to like new trendy Hindi music just because it's gonna get me a lot of views. I really can't, because if I don't love what I'm listening to, I can't. I told you in the beginning of the podcast, I can't. I'm someone who can't be forced to do something. So if I don't really love the song, I can't be made to choreograph it. It's not, and especially, I'm not going to teach that in class for sure. Like, that's never going to happen. Like, if I don't genuinely, absolutely love the song, I'm not going to teach it in class. There's no way that's happening. I might still work on a music video because I'm hired to, and that, it's part of my career. If I'm hired to do a music video, that's one thing, but I'm never going to teach my students a piece that I'm teaching for the sake of me teaching how I choreograph. I'm never going to do that to a song that I don't genuinely love. So I'm one of those people who's never going to push myself to get into trend just to, get more students in class or get more views on my videos. I'm never going to be one of those people. Like, I get asked a lot to do it. I get asked like almost constantly to do it, but I've kind of taken a stand that I'm not going to. It's not going to happen like it.
Do you think it impacts you? Because I've done that sometimes, but I feel the pressure to sometimes buy my students to do certain things, or buy my company owners or my agents to do certain things, because otherwise, like, I used to teach at base, and like, I wasn't teaching a distinctive style, but I wouldn't have a lot of numbers because I wasn't doing the popular songs, and I would have one person. And then profitably wise, like, for me to survive as a teacher at that point, or like for me to keep that room, was a lot of money. And I was like, if I'm not getting the revenue, how the hell will I be? So sometimes I was like, okay, I'll make a sacrifice and I'll do certain things, or I'll post a video to get people to recognize my work. Because if I'm not getting anybody, and every week I show up with choreo and nobody's there to do anything, then like, it's just, nothing's happening. So do you ever feel that pressure? Obviously you've built a name.
I do, and there was a part when I started teaching in the beginning that was really struggling with this thought. That I had to, like, what do I do to get more students in my class? But then I kind of realized, like, if I'm thinking about this, then I'm doing the wrong thing as a teacher. Because I mean, obviously, number one is that you are financially dependent on teaching, in a way. But also I do other things that I earn revenue through, right? Right now, at least, I earn money through doing other things as well. I shoot videos and I edit videos as well. And I do private classes, and I do choreographies, and I work for music videos, and I do other things as well. So I'm not only dependent on my class to, like, it's not my sole source of income. So I am at least in that position where I don't ever have to sacrifice what I feel the students who come to me to learn what I want to teach.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 5 people or 7 people or 10 people or 20 people, whatever that number may be, if those small number of people want to come and learn from me, they come to me not because I'm going to do the trendiest song, but they come because they know I genuinely have something that I want to teach and that's going to help them grow.
Yeah.
And so I used to be in that thought process where I had to think about, should I start doing the more trendy songs, or should I start posting more? But I kind of realized that this is the wrong thing, and that I should be more focused on what can I do to better myself as a teacher, and like, what are the things that I need to teach more? What are the things that I should be teaching? What are the important things that I learned during my training that I need to pass on?
Yeah.
And those are the things that I still focus on in my class more than anything, honestly. And I'm very thankful that I'm in this situation where I don't have to. I don't have to do the trendiest songs. I don't have to, shoot every class to get people to come and learn from me. I know I have lesser students than other dancers in India, but I'm okay with that. There are still people who want to come and learn from me. And I have my students are very, like, loyal towards coming and learning from me, like, because they know what I teach is right, and they know the way that I'm teaching them is going to help them, down the line to get to where I am and even beyond. But obviously not everyone can do that, and I know people around me who rely on their teaching as their sole source of income, and for them, you have to do what you have to do. At the end of the day, you got to earn the bread. And if that means, you do more trendy songs. I mean, I don't have anything against anyone who does trendy songs and stuff, or like does a lot of Instagram posts or whatever. Like, I mean, I honestly don't care. It's just I'm not one of those people who can do it, and so I'm not going to do it. So people who expect it of me, I just tell them that it's not possible.
Yeah.
But anyone else who does it, it's honestly their business. Who am I to say anything about anybody who does whatever they want with their life?
I think that's so interesting, and Meg and I even mentioned here. I think like the digital space is such a thing. I even find it that it might be going back to the point where the grass is greener on the other side, but I find the most amazing talent, and like yourself, people who might not have like millions and millions of views or like might not have such a great digital presence are the most talented and are the most like genuine, substantial people in their work and as people, and really love what they do. And I feel sad sometimes when things don't get supported and things like that don't get enough recognition, because like right now we had like at moments we'll have like 3 people who are in this live, or like maybe 2 people, and some people might be going crazy. Some people might be like, oh my god, why don't I have more people? But or like, you know, I don't have enough followers. But I think it's really interesting that you stick to your guts. And you know, there's a lot of dancers and teachers out there, like I said again, who might not have some followers but are immensely talented, and they should get the same platforms.
It should, but I mean that's not how the world works. And I mean, honestly,
hey, as a consumer, I feel like in today's day, I will be a champion for this, and I will be like, until my dying breath, I will be like, yes, I'll conform to certain things because I understand business. But I will be like, as a consumer in today's digital space, I think it is our responsibility to ensure that this person has as much value. Like, I'm not just liking the popular likes, the ones that are showing up. I'm also liking my friends' posts and supporting them and doing X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I had so much to talk to you about, but I think we're going into a long time. Thank you, Meg. Don't worry, boys. But we're gonna get onto some fun things now, and we're gonna play games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sorry, okay. I think like I've talked like way too much.
Stop it! My partner said this to me, and I was like, just because Instagram is 4 hours doesn't mean you need to do 4 hours. And I was like, calm down, mate. But like, I enjoy talking. That's why I'm doing this, and I enjoy storytelling, and that's why I reached out to you, because you have an amazing story, and I want to catalog it. And I'm very much fascinated with just the dance scene in India in general. And I reached out to even Eden, and I feel like Eden's going to be on here soon as well, because I'm going to harass him.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. So, we call him Eden though.
Bloody hell. I call him Eden all the time. Like,
yeah,
Eden.
I mean, usually you'd say the word, but everyone here says Eden.
Eden. Magna wants to be. Yeah. Magna, you need to say, I'll look after your Instagram after this.
Magna's also very good friends with Eden as well.
Oh, is it? Okay. Should I just have all of the faculty together? I was going to ask this. I was going to be like, what does it mean to be a faculty member in the Big Dance Center? Because here, it's like, is it as much as like the Millennium Complex, like the Millennium Dance Complex in LA? Like, you get certain privileges, and like, you know, you walk into the room and they're like, oh my God, it's Gairik.
No, I mean, it's not like that. So the thing is, being a faculty at Big Dance is just like you are a permanent teacher there. Like,
do you get a card? Do you get a card?
I get an Instagram post.
You get an Instagram post. Nice.
But yeah, it's just that, you know, we are a fixed set of teachers who have regular batches, and we teach all throughout the year. That's basically the thing, is that, you know, no matter whenever you come in the year, you are going to find our class at the same point of time on the same day of the week. You know, that's not going to change, and you can do our classes regularly throughout a year for, you know, however long we are at the studio. That's basically what the faculty thing is that.
Got it.
And also because it's the biggest dance studio in India, like in terms of like the number of people they get, and also like the reach that they have. It is more commercial space as such as well.
Yeah. I agree with all of what you're saying. All right. Let's play some games. Even though I wanted to talk so much more on so many things, we'll do like a part 2 and a part 3 on things. But let's go into playing the games. The games are called Sip a Chai or Play with Rai. Do you have a cha?
Do I have a what?
A chai, a chai.
A chai. I don't have a chai with me, unfortunately, because was planning to make one, but I was like so hungry when I came home from the shoot. I was just like, I need to eat quickly before this starts.
Just to let you know, I haven't eaten anything, and I have pizza and this wonderful cookie, which I'm gonna eat later.
You should really eat along with me as I drink some water.
Okay, cool. We'll have pani. Okay, are you ready? Sip your chai or play with rice. So you will sip your chai if you don't want to answer anything, or pani. He is defeating the purpose of this show, which I'm very sad about. You would think that he would have chai, you know. But anyway, if I was there with you and in person, I would provide you with chai. Moving on. You get the gist of the game. Okay. Your biggest peeves and biggest gratifications as a teacher and as a dancer. Biggest peeve as a dancer. Go, pet peeve. Biggest pet peeve as a dancer. This is rapid fire round, man.
This is.
Just say the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay, wait. Okay, so biggest gratification as a teacher is that's off the tip of my tongue is for sure when my students like text me post class telling me that they loved, the day, and they really enjoyed that they were able to open up and be vulnerable in the space with me. That's, I think, the biggest gratification for me.
Do you get that mostly from girls or guys?
No, both. All my students usually. Like I especially because I do a lot of choreographies which are like very feeling based. Sometimes I do very like emotionally expressive choreographies. Sensual, yes, but on other days it's also very like emotionally vulnerable at times. And so those are the times that I feel like, that's
cool. Rapid fire. Remember that. Okay.
Sorry.
Biggest
gonna move
gratification then as a dancer.
As a dancer, when I look at my own video and I'm happy. Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve as a teacher.
Which is very rare. Just saying, which is very rare.
I feel you. I feel like artists are the worst. Like what critical feedback people of their own work. Biggest pet peeve as a teacher. Or when teaching. Come on. Just say it. No!
I literally can't. I'm going to have to think so much and this is going to spoil the whole thing. So let's move on.
I believe with you. People's inability to understand space is very much, especially in COVID. As a dancer, biggest pet peeve. There's so many options. The payment wage, being able to get a proper dressing room. I don't know. Like...
People, okay, for sure. As a teacher, is students. Okay, I'm decided. As a teacher, like students not paying enough attention. I think in class, but
that's a nice one. Yeah,
for sure. As a dancer, I think not getting paid on time.
That's a good one. I agree with that. And then having to chase up and be like, sorry, have you received my invoice? If not, I'm attaching it again. There are so many things that I could also say, but I'm just going to go with this. No worries. I agree with that. 3 ways to get over choreo blocks.
Do something else that makes you really happy. Like if it's a walk, going for a long walk, watching a movie, something like that. Spending a lot of time, quality time with friends and family.
Got it.
The third thing is, for me personally, I love playing sports. That really helps.
So maybe something active. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Define your class as a pitch, as a salesman in 3 words. So I'm like describing
foundational, artistic, and fresh.
Fresh. Is it like fresh, like scented fresh, or fresh, like cool fresh? We'll just leave it at that.
I'm clearly really bad at rapid fire.
No worries. Okay, this is a section called Have You Ever? Have you ever taught drunk?
Have I ever?
Taught drunk?
I don't drink alcohol, so that's
Oh
never
yeah, I
happened.
forgot. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh God. Have you ever farted whilst teaching or performing?
Performing, yes, it's happened on stage. Teaching, no, and I've never had to. Yeah.
Wow, you're lucky. I farted and I blamed it on the student. I walked in into the middle. I was like, ah! Have you ever checked out a student or hooked up with a student? I know you have a missus here, but
No. My missus has been in my class as a student,
so
but I never
technically,
hooked up with a student. No.
okay. What's your teaching vocab? Like I said, some people will be like shh, boom, or like they'll be like a boom, cat, cat, and a tap, tap, and a 5, 6,
I teach the first time on counts,
Okay.
the second time on lyrics, and then the third time I teach instrumentation. I teach all three in every class. Like I'll teach first on the counts.
Do you have a distinct Gairik situation?
No. I'll just like go with counts first, then I'll tell them on what lyrics, and then I'll tell them what instruments to listen for, and then I'll combine all three, and then I go for it.
What is your teacher voice like? Can I hear that? Because we all know our teaching voice is completely different to our normal
It is the way that I'm talking to you right now.
No, it's not.
Usually when I'm not on camera, I sound a little different. I sound a little more high pitched. Like I'm a little more casual. Right now I'm really throwing my voice like very deliberately, and this is usually the way I teach as well.
Okay. I'll take into that. Because some people will be like, guys, and boom,
No, I'm not one of those people.
If you were a dance move, what would it be and what would it be called?
If I was a dance move?
Yes.
The sidewinder, which is a new step that I made.
Could I please see it? Could I please see it? And could you please do it?
Yes. That's two.
Is that it? Is that the sidewinder? Hello? Have I lost you?
Sorry, I dropped my phone.
No worries.
So yeah, this is the move.
Oh, I feel like you've done that wave. I like that wave. I can't do it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very awkward when I do that. I feel very awkward when I do that. So you can stay there because there'll be some movement stuff coming. But if you want,
Okay.
No worries. If you were a song, what would you be and how would it go and what would it be called? And you have to sing it. Go.
I would be Clocks by Coldplay.
Okay, I was hoping that you would make up a song, but that's fine. And now here's your chance to sing Clocks by Coldplay in 3, 2, 1.
Dun 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 dun. Okay, but I'm just gonna do the two. My singing voice is absolutely terrible.
Ustad Gairik. No worry. If you were a movie, what would you be called?
Sorry about that again. My phone is clearly.
If you were a movie, no worries. If you were a movie, what would it be called and what would the movie be about? Explain the movie to me. I'm going to count till 3. 1, 2, 3.
The movie would be called What? He's a Dancer?
Okay.
And the movie would be about the journey of this guy who's clearly everyone in his life growing up has known he would be doing something else, and then suddenly 10 years later they meet him having grown up and being in their 30s. They're like, what, you're a professional dancer now?
Oh wow.
From being the scientist that I was growing up.
I can't wait to see this Netflix special. If you were a food, what would you be?
Ooh, pizza.
If you were a drink, what would you be?
Iced tea.
If you were a mood, what mood would you be?
Happy. I'd be happy.
I would agree with that. You're a very happy person. Your favorite movie?
Interstellar.
Of all time?
Interstellar. It is. It's science. Science. It's the science. I love it too much.
The one with Matthew McConaughey, right? Or is it the one with Matt Damon?
No, the one with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, it is
Did
so
you know
stupid.
that?
It is such a stupid movie where he like goes through the book situation and he's like, "Oh, I'm leaving you."
But let me explain why I love it so much. The black hole render in that movie is the most accurate digital render of a black hole that's ever been created. They actually hired Kip Thorne, who's the Caltech physicist. He's like the leading researcher of black holes now after Stephen Hawking died. They actually hired him to write equations for like the structural integrity of a black hole, and they actually made a new physics engine with his equations, and that's how they kind of rendered that image that you saw. It wasn't actually like a fantasy creation. It's an actual like physics described, description of what a black hole would look like. They actually published like 12 research papers based on that render.
I think you should be I definitely wrote a critical review on it, which has been proven wrong. My thing is the way that it was storylined. I just think it could have been done better.
I mean, it had so much accurate science in it. I was sold.
Okay, fine. Yeah, well, I'll let you have it. It's your favorite movie, and apparently Meghna's. What's your favorite song of all time?
Oh, probably In Ultra Vita by Ludovico Einaudi.
And you're gonna sing it in 3, 2, 1. You go. Start.
It's a seminal classical piece. It's just got a lot of piano and violin in it. There's no singing actually.
Okay, fine. I will Google that after this. If you were a dance style, what would you be? I feel like I already know this, but go ahead.
Dancehall.
Bharatanatyam. Guys, if you don't know, Gairik's an actually very nice Bharatanatyam dancer, and I think he should get more jobs as a Bharatanatyam dancer. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Hey,
I actually do know a little bit of basics of Odissi.
Odissi. Okay, go on. This is your time to get booked as an Odissi dancer. Go.
Okay. So you can't really see my feet, but
oh wow. What? If you aren't getting Odissi jobs after this, I will be very disappointed.
I know, right?
With the entire industry. Who's your biggest inspiration? Or if you have more than one, I'll give you 3.
Biggest inspirations. Ooh. I think number 1 is my mom.
Okay.
For sure. Number 2, I think Laure.
Laure?
As a dancer, Laure. Cortelemon, she's also a dancehall dancer. I don't know if you know her. But Laura Cortelemon as a dancer. And in many ways, do you know David Attenborough, right?
Yes, I do. David Attenborough is the inspiration. Okay, cool. I would love for you to combine your love of biology and dancehall together in a conceptual piece. I'm actually not joking. I can actually imagine it right now. Like, maybe you should take David Attenborough's, like, when he does all of these National Geographical situations, maybe just like have the wording of it, of him just saying something and like you moving to it, like a spoken word situation.
Wow, that's quite an amazing idea. I've really never thought of it, but
it'll be conceptual, but
that's a very good idea.
Very you, because we all have. I can't wait to see it. There we go. All right.
Thank you for that wonderful idea.
No worries. I also gave you the dhoti idea, which I still haven't seen yet.
It's in the works. It's pending. It's in the works. It got stopped because of COVID, but it's there when things get back.
No worries. Okay, so you and I both know dancehall. Like, I'm a novice to it. You're an expert. Dancehall has interesting names for their moves, and we're going to use the power of improv to create some. Like, it has moves such as shampoo, oh my god, or like hammer, and situations like that. But we're going to create some if they don't already exist. So if you don't mind going into space, if you want, I can play you some dancehall music. Would you like that?
If you wish, for sure.
I can just leave it freestyle if you want it. So, okay, are you ready?
Yeah, let me just set up the camera before it falls again. Just one second. Yeah, okay.
There is very true. All right. Your first dance move is, oh wait, I'll just put on some music. Hey Google, play something dancehall.
All right, here's a Spotify playlist called Dancehall Official.
Can you hear that?
Not really, but
okay. Google, shush Google. Okay, your first move is called BRB. Okay, which stands for Be Right Back. Oh, I like that. Okay, your second dance move is called Samosa.
Samosa.
Nice one. Your third move is called the Chucky piecing.
Sorry, the what?
Chucky piecing. Do you know Chucky, like as in the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Usage of dimensions. Okay. Your fourth move is called jharu. You know jharu that you used to clean stuff with? Jharu. I like that. I'm loving that. It's more of a car wash, I feel, right now, but I like it.
It's the dancehall jharu.
It's the dancehall jharu. Watering a plant. Very delicate, but I'm loving it. It's like a gazelle. Okay. Last three moves. Are you ready? I'm so shy. Or as I like to say, I'm so shy. Nice. Very Bollywood of you. Very Bollywood. I see a Bollywood actress doing that. Okay. Your second last move is called you so vain. You so vain, like looking at yourself and stuff like that. Oh, I like that. And your last move is called mango. Mango. It's a lot of snatching. That's similar to BRB. I loved BRB. I think I'm not gonna lie. BRB was my favorite. BRB. Okay, just give me 2 seconds for this next segment.
Sure.
Oh my God, I need the usage of my iPad. Okay, you have done several choreographies, and this section is called What You Doing? I'm going to play you some choreographies of yours, and then I'm going to pause it, and let's see if you remember what comes next. Are you ready? Okay, let's go.
Well, I don't really know, but we'll see.
Let's see. And I'm going to pause it. Okay, what did you do next?
I'm not 100% sure where you paused it, but
do you want me to play it again? But that would be giving it away. Okay, there's some footwork going on. Let's see if that is what's happening.
I think it was something like that. No, I'm doing something completely different.
Look at that. Hey.
Oh yeah, I was doing this chunk. Yeah. So I remember this chunk, but not I didn't remember the chunk in between.
Okay, this is your next one. Are you ready? Okay, that's just intro. Okay, and I'm pausing. This was the last dance move. We are there.
It was something like a cut.
You have to do the next 8 count, by the way.
It was something from here where I did like a step into.
What you doing? Okay. Let's just play it.
Yeah,
that was close.
Yeah, I remember doing a reverse, but I don't remember exactly what was the move. But yeah.
Did you not get cold? Or was it like really hot?
This was during the summer, so.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Imagine it. All right. This one is next.
This is called a choreography, but I was freestyling on stage. This does not count.
Yeah, okay, ready? And we're pausing it from the dolphin dive.
I was freestyling, so I have no idea.
It's still choreo. It's still choreo.
It's a random freestyle. I'm assuming I was on the floor, and then I must have gone forward to do a glide like this, or glide back.
Well, my internet has gone and it's no longer playing, so we'll do another clip quickly. Okay, we've gone down the arm. We've gone down the arm. You have to do an A count. You have to do an A count.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Very confident. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Well done. Well done.
The last one is a piece that's about 7 months. That's the most recent one, which was like 7 months old, which is why I still remember it. All the other pieces are like a year and a half plus old, so I don't have them in my memory.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Well done. Well done. I commend you on that. All right. Are you ready? Next section. Oh my God. Sorry. My leg is dead. I need to get up. All right. The next section is called Peaks and Valleys. Okay. Thank you so much, by the way, for doing Super Child Play with Rai. I really appreciate that. And your movements were great. I would love to see BRB in a class or some of the other moves that we have created. Do you ever do that in class? Sometimes you just create moves.
Well, the thing is, with dancehall culture, we are not really allowed to create your own moves in a way, because I'm not a Jamaican, so I can't really create dancehall moves as such. It is part of the culture, but I do create moves on my own and I teach them. But they're not dancehall moves; they're just my moves, like the sidewinder, and I have a few others.
Screw that. Create them. If dancehall has now become universal, they need to adapt the rules. It's the same as any other styles now. All right.
Well, I mean, I create moves, and for me, it's not like I'm gonna call it a dancehall move or anything. It's my move. You know, you can do it to any style. To be honest, you know, like this kind of a wave move. I could do this in hip hop choreography as well. You know, if I wanted. So.
Well, I would officially like to throw a complaint then to the dancehall community. I'm not going to lie about that. Because if Indian moves can get stolen and be contemporarified, then so can dancehall.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's my opposing comment. Anyway, we're going to move on. Also because I need to go pee. Because I've drank like 2 liters of water here. All right. Peaks and valleys. All right. Peaks and valleys. Peak is a highest point in your life, and the lesson you learn from it, and a valley is a lower point of your life up till now, and what lesson you learned from it.
I think the highest point in my life most recently was when I got that scholarship to go to Singapore.
Okay.
I think that was something that made me so very happy, because I knew at the back of my mind that meant that post all of that training, when I came back, that I would be a teacher at Pick Dance. And that's something that I've been working towards. And like, usually most of the other people that, you know, have been teachers there have become teachers after like 5 years of having trained at that studio, or 4 years or 6 years of having trained at that studio. And it had been less than 2 years for me. And I had already kind of gotten to that position. I'd already been a junior teacher from like 7 months onward at the studio. Like I was a next generation faculty at the studio. But that was the first time I'd be moving into becoming like a full-time main faculty at that studio. And also having gotten that scholarship, that was the first time that somebody was sent from the studio as well. And that was me. And so that, I think, was a huge affirmation that what I was doing and the way that I was training and the amount of effort that I was putting in was the right thing, and what I was doing was correct. You know, at least it felt like a huge affirmation that I was doing the right thing in the right ways possible. And yeah, it made me really, really happy.
Nice.
Lowest point in my life, uh, very, very hard to pick. And okay, I'll talk about maybe the lowest point of my life, maybe as a dancer. In my dance career, I can definitely talk about that. Maybe lowest point of my life would be a little too personal to discuss, but definitely lowest point as a dancer, I think I can share that. Would probably be when I first started teaching, like maybe like 6 months into when I first started teaching. Because I was in this space of mind where I was very, very distraught with what I was doing, because I wasn't 100% able to, be happy with what I was doing. Number one, because I just made that transition into teaching, so I wasn't ever satisfied with anything that I was doing. Like, if I would teach a choreography in class, I'd just look at it and like be, oh, that was absolutely terrible. Like, I used to hate watching myself dance back then. Like, it was at that point. Like, I was like, I'm such a terrible dancer, I can't even watch myself. And that's where I was extremely harsh with myself in many ways that I shouldn't have been. I'm much more lenient towards myself now than I was back then. I used to be very overly critical of myself as well. And because as a student, I had done so well, at the studio and at pretty much everywhere else that I went. I always used to do very good in dance classes, and I always expected that that would translate equally and would be immediately transferred to me being a teacher. I would be equally successful and equally as good as a teacher as I was as a student. And obviously that's not the case. And, and that transition took me a while to figure out what I was trying to do as a teacher and who I was becoming. And that was the point where I hated everything that I did. And I used to enjoy teaching a lot in class, but I could never really watch myself dancing. You know what I mean? I was very happy dancing, but I was never happy watching myself. Like, I would dance, and if anybody had to film me and if it needed to be posted, it would happen. But I would never, ever actually watch my videos because I really couldn't. I used to think I was absolutely terrible. But yeah, that's something that I just took time to figure out over time to learn to be happy with where I am and who I am, and also learn who I was and who I was trying to become.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I still do that to this day. I don't watch myself. Even when you're editing like your own video, I don't like to do that. Words of wisdom you would share to somebody who wants to do anything, whether that is dance, and they don't have the support group or whatever it is, or if they do have the support group, what to do. The biggest words of wisdom that you would give to somebody?
Think about who you are, who you are to yourself. Think about who you are to yourself. And whatever decision you're going to make, will this version of you that you have in your mind be happy with whatever you are about to do or you are going to do with your life? Is this person that you think of yourself as from a third perspective, if you see that person making the decision you are about to make, will that version of you be happy a year down the line, 6 months, a day down the line, 5 years down the line? If that decision or whatever process or progress you are making through your life, if that doesn't give you happiness, don't do it.
Nice. Really nice. Really, really nice. Meghna says, don't let anyone make you feel less or not enough.
Thanks, Meghna. I really, really appreciate everything that you're saying. And I really shouldn't have said those terrible things, but it is what it is. And I'm thankfully out of that headspace.
Yeah, that is very true. I think it's part of the journey. You have to sometimes go through the dark and come out through the other side. We're going to end up on happy notes. We've come to the end. We've done over 2 hours. Thank you to everybody who has stayed on here. I really appreciate that. Thank you to my bladder for staying here and not letting me pee. Oh my God. What upcoming projects do you have?
So right now I'm gonna be going back home, and there's a couple of videos that I'm gonna be working on. There's I have something planned for next year, which is basically a yearly plan more than it is just a video. I actually have like a whole series of months planned as to what I'm going to be doing in terms of like myself as a teacher and a performer.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen, but like last year I did something called like Dancehall December.
Yes.
Where I was doing this whole month of like choreography based classes where I was, because usually I would teach like one choreography a month and the rest of the classes would be foundation. And that was the first time I was teaching like all 4 weeks choreographies, because that's how I planned everything to be. So this coming year, I've actually planned like 4 or 5 months in the year where I'm going to be doing a special something theme based on every one of those months. And that's currently the project that I'm working on. So designing that and making sure that, you know, there is no sacrifice between the training that my students are getting and the performing that they'll be getting to do, as well as the art behind the choreography, if at all there is one, you know.
Got it. There will be one.
That's currently the most important thing that I'm working on for myself right now.
No, it sounds good. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I come and I get to experience it. All right. Where can people find you if there's anybody here that, you know, isn't already a part of your Instagram and stuff like that?
Pretty much, I'm not active on Facebook. I don't even have a Facebook account.
Are you teaching in the studios?
Yeah, I teach at Big Dance every single week. My timings have changed very recently. So in case that change happens, I would suggest that anyone who wants to see me can go onto my Instagram, and you will always find my current timings on my page. But I do teach every single week at Big Dance, and obviously you can contact them directly. Besides that, I do like private classes. I do teaching. I do choreographies for like college crews. I do choreographies for like small art projects and other things as well. But I'm mostly on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel where I post like content that I only make specifically for YouTube. That's something that I work on. I post like maybe a video a month or 2 months, every other month, because I only post like the best of my content on my YouTube.
Yeah,
that's usually. It's so nice to see you guys.
And then Gairik will also be coming to London to teach some stuff here, hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
So that'll be that. But my last question to you is this: what's your favorite type of chai? Because I have to end on that, as corny as it is, which you didn't take part in, and I'm very disappointed because that is
I'm
part.
so sorry. If it wasn't like super late night.
You're my last guest of 2020. I should end on a happy note. No, I'm joking.
It's definitely traditional doodh chai at a chai wala on the street, for sure, without fail.
Well, I look forward to coming to India then, and you treating me to a nice cup of cha.
Yes, very much. I just want to say like thank you so much for like having me. It was really nice. It was really nice to be able to do this and like talk so much. I really had a good time.
You have no idea how grateful I am for every single person that comes on here, and for you particularly, because you, I think, are the first person that is like past midnight, has talked to me for over 2 hours. People have stayed on, and you've shared so much. So I really, really am very much grateful for you. And I think you are an absolute talent. And I wish you nothing but success, and I can't wait for all your dreams and all your visions to come true. And I'm thankful and grateful that I got to meet you that day in Jess's class when I was like, Jess, I'm quitting dance. And she was like, just come to class. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I've met you and our paths have crossed. And yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person again soon. And just grateful and thank you for everything. Seriously, really, really.
Thank you so much. And I really, really hope I get to see you soon. That would be really nice.
Yes. Thank you to everybody for joining. Guys, this is my last one. this is the end for 2020 for me. God, no, it's not. Let's not say it's not. But like, I'll upload these on Spotify and I'll tag everybody and I'll share this on my IGTV. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Hopefully you go to sleep now. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your year. And yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Gairik. Thank you.
Bye.